Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. If you've been watching me for a while, then you know that I've made some videos like this in the past, and I've had a couple ideas lately that I've been wanting to yap about. So without further ado, let's get to the topic at hand. When I look back over the history of the Call of Duty franchise, it's hard for me to specifically pinpoint my absolute favorite game. Now with that being said, the Black Ops series holds a very special place in my heart, so I might be a little biased when I say that Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was nothing short of an overall masterpiece. I mean, across all three modes, this game was one of, if not the most complete and enjoyable Call of Duty game of all time. And I think that there were some very clear reasons why this game was so successful. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to break down each game mode and talk about what sets this game apart from all the other Call of Duties. Starting off with the campaign, Black Ops 1 did an amazing job at creating a captivating and immersive story that really kept you fully engaged with what was happening. Loading up the first mission, strapped to a seat in an interrogation room with hella TVs in front of your face was quite the opener. This story brought so much mystery and ambiguity that it kept you on the edge of your seat, and this continued throughout the campaign as the story slowly started to reveal itself over time. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Then you got such well-written characters, which makes this campaign so much more memorable. The Black Ops 1 campaign also had some pretty good pacing and pretty good action sequences that weren't too over the top or unrealistic. And another thing that I like about these older Call of Duty campaigns is the lack of cinematic cutscenes, which I personally feel like takes away from the gameplay experience. I like to feel like I'm still playing even when I'm not interacting with the environment around me, and it makes the transition back to gameplay seamless. And of course, everyone loves a good ending, whether that be a cliffhanger or, in this case, a positive outcome that leaves the main character victorious in the end. You can really tell Treyarch put a lot of thought and a lot of time into creating this story, and it's definitely something that Call of Duty has been missing for a very long time now. Moving on to multiplayer, this is where things start to get a little repetitive in terms of what's being talked about in the COD community today. So instead of focusing on something like skill-based matchmaking, I'm going to go into how simplicity made this multiplayer so successful. So in terms of map size, I think Black Ops 1 did a really good job at keeping the maps within the small to medium range, which made pacing just right for most of the lobbies. Most maps were designed well enough to give advantages to all different playstyles, as well as giving various vantage points to players that like to play a little more quote-unquote strategic. I also really like how most maps follow a similar pattern, with 3 clear lanes that you could push, making it easier for players of all skill levels to learn each map and become familiar with them. Maps like Nuketown, Firing Range, and Summit are being praised as some of the best maps in Call of Duty history, and are still being remastered and reused in the newer Call of Duties today, and I think there's a clear reason for that. Another thing that I think separates this Call of Duty apart from some of the more recent CODs is the sprinting speed. Obviously, all the newer Call of Duties have tactical sprint in the game, which I think makes the gameplay a little more chaotic and less consistent. However, I'm not entirely sure if there is even a difference between the sprint times in the older Call of Duties compared to the new, so that might just be a placebo effect or something. Another thing I think this game did very well was the gunplay. Although hit detection wasn't the best in this game, I think the time to kill made up for it, and the weapon designs made almost every gun feel good to use. They also chose to keep the selection of weapons moderate in size and only allowed 1 attachment per gun, making it simple and sweet. I miss the days when I could use a gun without having to worry about which attachment is best, or if one attachment cancels out another. It's just gotten a little out of hand in my opinion, but maybe I'm just getting old and can't keep up with the times. Kill streaks were pretty balanced to me, especially with the pace of the game. It made some of the higher streaks pretty rare unless you were actually good at the game, so they definitely felt rewarding to get. Other than attack dogs and the chopper gunner, most kill streaks weren't crazy impactful, but were still useful enough to get you some additional kills. Overall, the multiplayer was simple, balanced, and had some of the most memorable maps in Call of Duty history, which made this game so enjoyable. Now when it comes to zombies, I would say Black Ops 1 revolutionized the zombies game mode and made it into such a huge success for the Call of Duty games that followed. Starting off with 2 classic all-time favorite maps, Kino der Toten and 5, Treyarch really set the tone as they entered into a brand new era for zombies. Black Ops 1 Zombies opened the door for so much creativity with new wonder weapons, music, and most importantly, Easter eggs that continued with each new map and kickstarted the zombie storyline. Treyarch did such a good job with storytelling in zombies, and the Easter eggs in this game were so fun to figure out. Nothing beats loading up a YouTube video while your buddy watches a crawler just so you can figure out what to do next. And another reason I think that these Easter eggs were so much more fun was because there was no prompt or text at the top of your screen telling you what step is next. You actually had to pay close attention to what the characters were saying and what was going on in the environment around you. Things only got more intense as each new map dropped, and we followed this crew all over the planet and even to the moon, where we got to see Richthofen's true plan unfold as he blew up the earth and took control of the zombies. And what's even better was, this story carried over into the Black Ops games that followed, continuing this great story and giving us 2 more Black Ops games with amazing zombies gameplay. Not only were the maps creative, but the characters were too. The lore behind the original crew was pretty mysterious, but it had just enough depth to give you an idea of who they were and how they got there. And on top of that, the voice acting for these characters gave us some of the most expressive and memorable voice lines, I would say, in video game history. The last thing I want to talk about is the DLC for this game. The Black Ops 1 DLC might be my favorite DLC out of all the Call of Duty titles ever. They really went 4 for 4 with this one. In terms of DLC, this game really took it to the next level. Each map pack featured 4 unique multiplayer maps in new fun environments that we had never seen before. The First Strike map pack brought some pretty fire maps like Kowloon, Stadium, and Berlin Wall. Then of course we got another classic zombies map with Ascension. They took it up a notch with my personal favorite DLCs of the 4, Escalation. This is the map pack that really changed the game completely for me. It gave us a couple more top tier multiplayer maps in Zoo, Convoy, and Hotel that were great for almost any game mode. But what I believe really set this map pack apart from the rest was the zombies map, Call of the Dead. This was probably one of the most game-changing maps in zombies history. Not so much because of the quality of the map itself, but because of how creative and unique it was at the time. This was the first zombies map to bring in celebrity cameos as playable characters in-game. Not only that, but this was one of the first zombie maps in COD history to introduce a boss zombie that was pretty difficult to kill, and he followed you around the map throughout the whole game. Call of the Dead also featured many new interactable modes of travel, such as the zipline and the flinger, and we got 2 new wonder weapons to use in this map, the VR-11 and the scavenger. This map also featured the first really in-depth Easter egg that involved you sending the Ultimus crew, which was trapped inside of a vault, to Paradise, and basically started the storyline that continued for the next 3 Black Ops games. Next we had the map pack Annihilation. This map pack gave us more really well done and unique multiplayer maps. Drive-In and Hazard were fun adaptations of common everyday places that you might visit in real life, and the zombie story picks right back up where it left off, back with the original crew in quote-unquote Paradise, or better known as Shangri-La. This zombies map has to be one of the most difficult maps to this day, and the Easter egg was definitely no easy feat. Shangri-La had a very interesting layout compared to the previous zombie maps, and included various traps around the map to make things even more difficult. But despite this map being difficult, it definitely brought a new aspect to zombies and created a unique experience that hadn't been used before. And finally, you've got the Resurrection map pack, which was probably the biggest and most impactful DLC for Black Ops 1 Zombies. This map pack was strictly for zombies, bringing back 4 fan-favorite remastered zombie maps from World at War, and ushering in one of the biggest, most creative zombie maps of all time. I think Moon is a very special map when it comes to Call of Duty Zombies. This map had so much substance to it, and the Easter egg was probably the longest one that we've seen up until this point. This is what all the other Easter eggs were leading up to, and I felt like everything came together with this map. It really did feel like the grand finale of all 3 Easter eggs, especially when you got to watch the rockets as they launched from the moon and blew up Earth. So as for my final thoughts, I think the overall simplicity of the game, paired with that classic first-person shooter feel, made Black Ops 1 enjoyable for all players across all skill levels. The creativity and the uniqueness definitely brought the Call of Duty franchise to new heights and offered a refreshing product to the video game industry. And additionally, Treyarch seemed to put much more focus into details with Black Ops 1 and didn't worry too much about the mechanical or graphic realism, which I believe led to an overall more enjoyable gameplay experience. When you put all that together and then add in some really good DLC, I think that's what truly makes Black Ops 1 a masterpiece. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments and let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one.